Welcome to Quantum Meet Spirit. These are audio chapters from my book 8. This chapter, Apply, is about taking what we know and actually living it, using consistency, intention, and small daily actions to create real change. Chapter 3. Apply. Knowing all this stuff is one thing. Applying it is another. What you need is consistent and constant application of all the areas of thought, mind, and spirit. Like going to the gym every day. Learn new stuff every day. To keep focused and constant on a goal or positive mindset is essential, but sometimes can get boring. We strive for variation, and ironically in addiction, we think we're being random and doing something wild and different with drugs and alcohol, but actually follow almost exactly the same routine each time we relapse. The idea of having fun but getting the same crushing result of disaster is core with addictive behaviours. They worked once to escape, have fun, deal and cope, but now are just a bad routine. It is actually difficult for humans to act randomly, and if we do, and we like it, that then becomes our new pattern. We want to fall into efficient patterns of behaviour. They give us comfort and secure outcomes. We get bored so easily and so quickly with tasks, work, and even relationships. We don't take time to rediscover what we already have before running to the next thing. It's important to vary your life, but keep yourself in the present and not running to the future or trying to repeat the good old days. Mini motivations. The journey is the thing. The goals and results are ever-changing, and as fun as it is to reach goals and attain stuff, the journey continues, so enjoy. We exist before this life and after it, so why worry at all? Just enjoy now. Never in mankind's history has everyone been so connected on the planet, and yet it's still a playground of lonely grown-ups posting constantly on social media and bullying trolls on Twitter. It is fun to escape, but when it affects the real fun part of life, which is actually living, then it starts to look more like a negative, addictive behaviour. This is at core how we should look at motivation, focus, initiative and creativity in finding solutions and problem solving in business and life. Most companies traditionally use team building, which generally involved a day out getting drunk after briefly listening to someone who had overcome something and was trying to sell you their book. Basically, how do the kids in the playground play nice and together? I believe it starts more with motivating the individual, who can then feel worth and pride in themselves, which then allows them to better work in team and even community. We are naturally sharing and communal beings, but we need to make sure as individuals we have the self-belief and confidence to be successful in that team. As we grow up, we forget who we are and what we want, or it gets distorted. This then leads to a kind of unpurposeful drifting. You only don't get what you want in life because you don't really know what you want. A bit of soul-searching always helps get us back on track. Quantum science has already paved the way for us to better understand how it all works here. You observe, think, and you create. We observe, we change things at a subatomic particle level. Perhaps with more focus we can change more. Certainly we can change our perspective, and therefore the experience that we have of life. It's just that our negative subconscious can and does often lead the way. People often say, "Oh, this doesn't work. I've visualized for years and nothing has manifested." Well, I would argue that you metaphorically need to go to gym every day and change your diet to see any results. The same is true for trying to manifest what you want in life. And even then, we are guided gently by God and His angels, as what some people want is not always world peace. And if the latest pretty actress or good-looking actor is what you want, it doesn't work like that either. My main preoccupation in this area is to observe those negative thought patterns which no longer serve us as fight-or-flight coping mechanisms or as warning bells, and to look at ways to recondition the mind into a positive place. The negative thoughts sometimes persist, but will seem less important and will gradually fade. We then have a different perspective, thus attracting the more positive elements and even better health into your life. Most negative thought patterns are simply learnt responses about ourselves that impose a negative self-image. For example, I am overweight, everyone thinks I'm overweight. I must be overweight. I will continue to be overweight. When change is simply a thought away, and of course taking some consistent action towards the desired goal. There is so much written around this subject in the guise of laws of attraction, retraining what we associate things with, spiritual stuff, even changing your behaviour to change your mind patterns. We even become cluttered when trying to address a way to look at the clutter of negative default thinking. I have tried to simplify it for my blog, quantummeetspirit.com, what I have learnt by experience and studied over a very long period, and been very lucky to have had a great deal of divine help from God and a football team of angels. The result is genuinely successfully overcoming extreme addiction, alcohol, even smoking, and have reduced massively all the negative thinking which drives most people back into addictive behaviours or habits, and of course moving into a much more abundant, healthy and successful life on all fronts. The desire to fall back into a negative pattern of thinking or lifestyle is simply not there, as I replaced it with the desire to actually enjoy life for real and not in escape mode. Here's a simple acronym to help keep you focused. PEBBLE. Proud. Presents the past. Be proud of what you have done in the past, of who you are up until now. Pride has always had a negative connotation, pride before a fall. The difference is how you see yourself in relation to others. If you want to feel better because someone else is worse, it won't work. There is always someone better or worse than you. I'm suggesting you look at your self-view as regards the past in a positive way. It is more about self-respect than vanity. More simply put, having the feeling of good, or at least being at peace about your past. This will crush feelings of shame and guilt, which are so disabling to many people. And in relation to what other people think, it also dissipates how you see those negative opinions. The phrase "to die of shame" literally means that for some. So many people take their lives because of their negative, crippling self-image, and of what other people think. So proud of the negative stuff? No, of course not. Be proud that you have indeed overcome it, sought forgiveness if necessary, and have learnt from it. You went through it to get here, which is success. You can't love until you love yourself. We are told to obliterate self to find peace. Maybe negative self, yes. But as we live here on earth, we are in human form, and our positive self is the beautiful gift of life, and that reflects who we truly are as spirit, which should never be negated, but celebrated. And to emphasize further, pride and self-love, not in a vain way. All the people taking selfies generally don't love themselves, but need affirmation, ironically, from others with their selfies. Rather look at your past with more of a deep self-respect, and that you did everything you were supposed to. You tried your best. You have had success and failure, and you are at peace. Serenity, if you like. Proud also encompasses know thyself, and the ability to have the confidence that you have dealt with issues in the past and can deal with them again. The next letter of Pebble, E. Excited. Be excited for the future. Why worry for tomorrow? You are alive, and tomorrow holds another day. This is entirely in our perspective. Of course we're anxious, stressed about tomorrow. Financial reasons, maybe relationship, job insecurity. The question is why? Whatever happens will happen anyway. Be excited that you can handle it, and that it will be exciting. We all look to the future as a desired result, which by definition continually evades us. When we do get there or succeed, we want more, as what we have is not enough. It is simply the nature of being human. We strive for better things and keep expanding in our thoughts and ambitions. Remember, we are in control and we are guided by a powerful God. We craft today what comes tomorrow by being ready for it. But be ready for the unexpected too. Expect the unexpected. The point is to know as we move forward, life changes, and we change too. It's okay to be nervous about that, but let that emotion be excitement instead of anxiety. The 2 B's in Pebble: be grateful for positive, be grateful for negative. Take stock of when you do arrive at each goal. This represents the present. Gratitude. Be grateful for the positive, and then be grateful for the so-called negative. There is no failure in the present. We move, we learn, we are grateful. Of course, in the real world, we get annoyed with people, things not going how we planned. If it doesn't go well, then we're either being guided to a different path, or we need to look at taking a different approach to the existing path. How brilliant is that? We have negative emotions to guide us from the wrong path and the wrong people. But we don't need to dwell on those emotions. Sometimes things do go well, and we enjoy other people, so be grateful for that, and attract more of that. We are so quick to rush to the next event, we don't take time to be grateful for the awesome things that just happened today. And the L in Pebble: let go. Let go, let God. When things really get out of control, the despairing moments, then it's time to hand over to the CEO of the game of life, God, to understand and allow his presence in your life. This comes down to the old saying of faith and action. We need to take control, but also understand that there is a much bigger plan, higher force at work. The thing with this is that people feel that letting go means giving up. It's not at all. Neither does it mean try even harder. If we try so hard that we burn out, it means we're striving in a frame of mind that is thinking, I have to be super driven or I will fail. I have to try really hard. The thing here is that if you work so blisteringly hard, then somewhere in your psyche is a feeling that you will fail if you don't. It's good to try hard, but also to know and acknowledge that with your effort is God, or the universe, collective consciousness, higher power, depending on how you frame your spiritual belief system. I say that as the concept of God is not always a tangible thing for some people. But just begin with trying to accept the concept of a spiritual plane from where all matter comes is the first step. And it's not giving up or going easy. It's a quiet confidence or knowing that God has your back when you're in the ring. If you fall, pick yourself up and try again. Maybe differently. Be excited in the lessons, not downtrodden or angry or even fearful that you think you have been abandoned. We are each just one pebble on the beach, but never alone. There is always a bigger picture in what we can do and achieve, how we connect and change our life and other lives for the better. We don't have to suffer to gain unless we think that's how it works. It's all in your perspective. And finally, the E to end the acronym PEBBLE. Enjoy. Just enjoy. Life is short, and yet it is also so very, very long. So the experience should be fun. The illusion of fun is generally guided by the various negative escape pods of addictive behaviour, the need for more and more. Jump on the roller coaster for sure, but to stay in an escaped mode of life is a waste of time. One of my big regrets in addiction for a long time was having wasted a lot of time in my life. I spent more time regretting the time lost than the actual time lost. How insane is that? Having said that, the time has been turned around, just in the notion that there is always time. We are infinite beings, so whether you're 22, 52 or 82, you're still here today. So enjoy. 22 worried about the future, 42 worried about the past, 82 worried it's all over soon. It's still happening now, and we exist before this life and after it, so why worry at all? Just enjoy now. Miracles, or the previously impossible, is possible when you shift your perspective. Quantum thinking. As a man thinketh, so is he. The quote is actually, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. The idea being that thoughts lead to action or matter is actually thoughts plus genuine intention. You can think, be positive to get positive, but it's more effective if you have to add some emotive intention behind it and know that it works. The laws of the universe has written about so much. An athlete prepares for years for one race and doesn't grumble and moan all the way down the track. Otherwise, all that training would have been a waste. Turn all those negative years into positive thought and action. It's a matter of perspective. Change your past and future just by looking at it differently. Quantum stuff? How we view things changes them. Already science fact, not fiction. Just our perspective, not reality? Our reality is our perspective on it in many ways. Time travel, if you like, in your mind. Well, you can view the past and the future with your mind's eye. By changing your perspective of how you see the past, it then follows that you change how you see the future. It's a technique used for trauma patients to re-look at an event and then move forward with their lives. More simply, join the positive dots of past events and not the negative ones, and then join the positive dots of where you would like to go in the future. There are many ways to get your perspective positive, including the laws of attraction, progressive visualization. And a more simple view of all this is to just enjoy now, the race being run now at this moment. You can quite obviously waste your life by fixating on the past mistakes and errors of judgment and stumble before you reach the finish line. Now is all you have. The rest is in your thoughts about the future or the past. And now dictates how you choose to view both, and therefore can change how now evolves into the future. It seems that our time here is much like a racehorse, and our attitude to that is crucial. It may seem that early on some are given an easier route, while others are given some very heavy saddlebags. Interestingly, the horse without saddlebags may win a few races, but often comes in last. In contrast, the ones who are burdened with the extra weight instinctively fight harder, as they know they must overcome this burden. Some race with their eyes on the finish line. Others race whilst looking over their shoulder, behind them or directly across at the competitor, and attempt to do enough just to beat their peers. Some will keep their eye on the finish line and deal with the extra weight, knowing that they can handle it, and know that they would win the race easily without it. For them, there is no competition on the field but themselves. They reach new heights of strength each time the weight goes up. They have won already, and just want to face themselves and push through the limitations created in their own minds. We believe we can't move or do something because we think there are too many saddlebags. It's really just your perspective. What are obstacles? Even the word fills us with anxiety. Overcome your obstacles. Two words that sound like hard work. To me, things, people, situations happen. So we go beyond those old learnt perceptions and create new perceptions. And then we overcome the self-limiting views of our negative experiences and therefore overcome our fears. Fear being the core emotion beneath all self-limiting thoughts. Of course, you can't suddenly have a positive perception. It takes time. Rehearse it, if you like, until the automatic negative thoughts that were there all the time are replaced with positive new perceptions that start to also become there all the time. With this mind frame, not only do we win the race, but we don't feel stressed out about it or anxious for the next race. Truth is, it's just living. Having said all that, some of us do have to go through hell to face our fears, and/or lots of pain. The tricky thing is coming out of hell and not dwelling there, as one horse could be resting on the glory of one win forever, or moaning about a loss because of all the extra weight. A survivor has not truly survived if they cannot move forward and go beyond the fear, anger, and shock that come out of misguided decisions or things that happen, whether in business or in life. Things that weigh them down like saddlebags. Quantum thinking. Well, quantum science looks at the space between matter, where time ceases to exist. And then there is a great deal of thought put into the idea that meditation is the silent space between busy thoughts, the subconscious or the empty meditative space? Well, the gap in between our busy thoughts, call it timeless, subconscious, or an absence of thought. To me, it is simply where your true emotive thoughts lie, the ones that create and change our perceptions. Or if you don't like the word thought in this spaceless vacuum of existence, then call it your essence that has intention. Here, one can focus on a peaceful, timeless space, but also use it to begin reinventing, recreating, refocusing your perspective and life moving forward. And applied to our real-world situations, it is simply to move further from the negative thoughts, if you like. If you continue with negative thoughts, you stand on the precipice of a cliff and ready to fall, and you exist in perpetual fear or anxiety. If you can observe these thoughts, but stand more in your new, renewed, positive thought, then you are at least 100 meters from the precipice. The precipice no longer creates any fear for you. To create within creation. You can't change the shape of trees, but you can choose how you see them. And of course, one of the rules of engagement here is to let others be. You cannot change another person or how they think. To change the world, you must change yourself. The world exists exactly as it is, from your point of view, because of who you are now. You want it to change? Then you change first. We are naturally used to being in a constant state of learning. New obstacles or things or people or events will emerge. If aviation technology was perfect when we entered a plane, we wouldn't need the safety talk. But if a captain said, "No need for the safety talk, the plane is perfect," you would likely run off that plane in an instant. If we had 100% faith in ourselves, our business, our surroundings, we wouldn't have any worries. But that's silly and not much fun. To have the positive perspective that we continue to strengthen and challenge ourselves through all our experiences in a world of flux and change makes life easier. It also strengthens our abilities on multiple levels and is actually a lot more fun too.